She said it with a calm smile that made the words feel even colder. You need to miss me more. Then she added the part that didn't make sense until much later. I'm blocking you until you do. My name is Nolan Prescott. And that sentence ended a 2-year relationship in a way that felt less like a breakup and more like a psychological experiment I hadn't agreed to participate in. It happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina. We were sitting outside a cafe on King Street, where we had spent countless weekends talking about work, travel plans, and the kind of future people casually assume will eventually happen. Across the table from me sat Vivian Aldrich. Vivian had the kind of composure that made people think she always knew exactly what she was doing. She worked in marketing for a luxury hospitality company. Her world was filled with curated experiences, perfect lighting, and carefully designed emotional moments. At first, I thought that confidence was attractive. Later, I realized it also meant she had a habit of testing people without telling them they were being tested. That Sunday started with something small. I had canceled a dinner reservation the night before because of a last-minute client meeting. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't intentional. But Vivian interpreted it as something deeper. She stirred her coffee slowly and watched me the way someone studies a reaction before revealing the real question. You didn't seem disappointed when you canceled, she said. I was, I replied. You didn't show it. I leaned back slightly. I had work. She tilted her head. I know. Then she smiled. But sometimes I wonder if you'd notice if I disappeared for a few days. At first I laughed, because it sounded like the kind of exaggerated relationship comment couples make when they want reassurance. You know I would, I said. She nodded thoughtfully. Then she delivered the line that shifted everything. You need to miss me more. I blinked. What? I'm serious, she said calmly. You're too stable. I wasn't sure whether that was meant to be an insult or a compliment. Before I could respond, she continued, I'm going to block you for a while. The sentence landed on the table between us like something absurd. Why? So you feel what it's like when I'm not around. I stared at her for a moment, trying to decide if she was joking. She wasn't. I'm doing this for us, she added. Relationships need tension sometimes. Before we go further, let me ask you something. If someone you love told you they were going to block you on purpose so you would miss them more, would you chase them to prove they mattered? Or would you step back and let the silence answer the question for both of you? Because in that moment, I had two choices. Play the emotional game she had designed, or refuse to participate. Vivian stood up, picked up her purse, and leaned down to kiss my cheek. Give it a week, she said softly. You'll understand. And she walked out of the cafe. 10 minutes later, my phone confirmed what she had promised. Her contact disappeared from my messages. Social media accounts vanished from my feed. Every digital door closed at the same time. The first day felt strange. The second day felt quieter than usual. By the third day, I noticed something unexpected. I wasn't missing her the way she expected me to. I was thinking about the last 2 years. About the small moments where Vivian had turned normal disagreements into emotional puzzles that required solving. About the times she withdrew affection just long enough to see how quickly I would try to fix things. At the time, I thought those moments were just personality differences. But now the pattern looked clearer. Vivian believed emotional distance created value. Like scarcity in marketing. Make something harder to reach and people will want it more. It was a clever theory. But relationships are not product launches. By the 5th day, I had stopped checking my phone entirely. Not out of pride, out of clarity. That weekend, my friend Reed Calloway invited me to a small dinner gathering at his home on Sullivan's Island. Reed was the kind of person who had a habit of noticing emotional patterns before the people involved in them did. Halfway through the evening, he asked a simple question. Where's Vivian tonight? I explained the situation in one sentence. Reed didn't laugh. He didn't criticize her either. He just nodded slowly. That sounds exhausting, he said. That single observation stayed with me longer than any advice would have. Exhausting. Not dramatic. Not cruel. Just emotionally tiring in a way that slowly drains your energy without you realizing it. The 7th day arrived quietly. At exactly 8:42 p.m., my phone vibrated. A message appeared from an unknown number. Did it work? I knew immediately who it was. Vivian Aldridge had decided the experiment was over. I waited 10 minutes before replying. Then I typed a single sentence. It did. 3 dots appeared instantly. See, she wrote. I told you you'd miss me. I stared at the screen for a moment. Because technically she was right. The week of silence had changed something. Just not in the direction she expected. I realized something. I replied. What? That I prefer relationships that don't need tests. The typing indicator appeared again. Then disappeared. Then appeared once more. What does that mean? I took a breath before answering. It means you were right about one thing. What? Space does create clarity. The conversation ended there. Not with anger. Not with accusations. Just with a quiet understanding that the dynamic between us had reached its natural conclusion. Before the story ends, let me ask you one more question. When someone pulls away to see if you'll chase them, do you think the real test is whether you run after them? Or whether you realize you deserve a relationship where you never had to run in the first place? Because 2 weeks later, I saw Vivian again at a networking event in downtown Charleston. She greeted me politely. Her composure was the same as always. But there was a subtle curiosity in her eyes. Are you seeing someone else? She asked casually. No, I said. She paused. Then why didn't you try to reach me? The question sounded less like frustration and more like genuine confusion. I answered honestly. Because you told me not to. Vivian studied my expression for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. Not disappointed. Not angry. Just thoughtful in the way people become when a strategy they believed in suddenly stops working. We spoke for another minute about work and mutual friends. Then she excused herself to greet someone else across the room. As she walked away, I realized something that hadn't been clear during the relationship. Sometimes people create emotional games not because they want control, but because they are afraid simple stability might mean they aren't valued enough. And sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for both people is decline to play.